So I've always reached for items that, I don't have to think too hard about. And that has always, been in my mind when designing for our customers. So, we're all about that woman who is, she's on the move, she's busy, she's got that, it's not just the physical load of life, it's also the mental load. So we want her to be reaching for Alexandra because she knows, she's going to look effortlessly cool with extremely high comfort levels. So yeah, we want to sort of take that mental load off her by providing, elevated essentials that just fit seamlessly into her life.
Hello and welcome. I'm Elizabeth Formosa, the founder of Fashion Equipped and devourer of all things fashion, business and mindset. In this podcast, I'm speaking with thought leaders, change makers and entrepreneurs about the business side of fashion and everything in between. Fashion Business Mindset is your front row seat to real stories from designers, brands, entrepreneurs, makers and mentors. We'll discuss how to launch and grow a fashion business and give you insider access to the future of fashion. So let's do this together and ensure that you're equipped to make the fashion business your business. Welcome back to Fashion Business Mindset. Today I am thrilled to welcome Alexandra Bell, the founder and creative director of ALEXANDRA Australia, and most recently the beautiful content creation space, Beau Bell Studio. With a passion for fashion, Alexandra launched her namesake label in Melbourne in 2016. Today, the brand's headquarters, thriving e-commerce business, first brick-and-mortar store and creative studio are all based on the Gold Coast. The brand embodies Lexi's vision and that of countless women like her who lead busy, multifaceted lives seeking comfort and ease without sacrificing style. The label focuses on timeless, ready-to-wear essentials that prioritise longevity over fleeting trends, balancing elevated detail with relaxed silhouettes, creating a signature, comfortable feel. Balancing the demands of content creation with rising costs, Lexi launched Beau Bell Studios as a versatile photography space for the brand and the broader creative community. Lexi kindly supports local startups by providing affordable access, recognising the challenges that new businesses face in managing costs while striving to make their mark. Lexi has been a client of mine for the past 18 months, and I am always thrilled to showcase the incredible talented entrepreneurs that I have the privilege of working with every day. During our chat, Lexi and I dive into the key learnings of growing a business, the power of brand elevation, the importance of building a strong, authentic connection with your customers, balancing performance marketing and brand marketing, the excitement of opening your first store, leading a growing team, launching Beau Bell Studio, and so much more. Lexi has also extended a generous offer for Beau Bell Studio bookings exclusively for our Fashion Business Mindset community. Beau Bell Studio already offers 50% off bookings for startups that have been trading for less than 2 years. But this summer until the end of February, Fashion Business Mindset listeners can enjoy an exclusive 30% discount on bookings for established businesses. Just mention our podcast to the team at Beau Bell to claim this offer. I'll pop the Beau Bell Studio link in the show notes. So let's dive in. Lexi, welcome to the Fashion Business Mindset podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, Lexi, to set the scene, I'd love for you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself and share some insights into your background before you launched Alexandra.
Well, basically, I spent 10 years prior to Alexandra doing nothing at all that was aligned to my passions or my strengths. Started a mechanical engineering degree at Melbourne Uni. Back then, I was probably one of 5 girls, I'd say, in the whole course. And anyway, I very quickly realized that that was not my calling at all. My dad was extremely disappointed. And then I did a Bachelor of Business majoring in marketing, and I got onto the graduate program at Coles Group. I eventually became a marketing manager there. And at Coles head office, well, they didn't have a strict dress code at all. So as long as you weren't turning up looking like you've just been to the beach or a nightclub, you could pretty much wear whatever you wanted. So for me, that was actually a highlight, as you can imagine, being a fashion lover. So I do look back on my memories there quite fondly, and a lot of it has to do with the clothes that we got to wear. And then, yeah, throughout that whole time, I really loved clothes and I love fashion. I always wanted to start a label. I used to actually have a box where I used to save all these little magazine cutouts because one day I knew I'd have a label and this was going to be my future inspiration. So yeah, finally after 10 years of doing absolutely nothing fashion related, at age 32, I started my fashion label. So anyone out there thinking that they're too old, you're definitely not. So
Amazing. And I'm sure that experience, at the Coles Group and in marketing and everything you learnt before launching your business has served you well. As much as
yeah,
you were diving into the unknown, you had some transferable skills, which I think is always valuable.
yeah,
So let's dive into all things Alexandra. Let's start
yeah.
with the brand. Let's share the ethos, the story behind it, and then we'll fast forward to where it is today.
With Alexandra, well, the brand sort of includes Alexandra and there's ALX. Alexandra, so think more, the dresses, the shirts, the casual jackets, the denim. And then ALX is, what we call our move wear collection. So think spray jackets, t-shirts, joggers. So the styles are super casual. They're really loose fitting. The pants are all mainly elasticated waistbands. And these styles, they're for effortless dressing. So, everyone these days is really dressing down. It's almost comfort is more important than style. So our goal is to offer styles where you just don't need to make that compromise. I've always, I guess, even though I've loved fashion, I've also been a lazy dresser. So I've always reached for items that, I don't have to think too hard about. And that has always, been in my mind when designing for our customers. So, we're all about that woman who is, she's on the move, she's busy, she's got that, it's not just the physical load of life, it's also the mental load. So we want her to be reaching for Alexandra because she knows, she's going to look effortlessly cool with extremely high comfort levels. So yeah, we want to sort of take that mental load off her by providing, elevated essentials that just fit seamlessly into her life. So we don't really jump on just any trend either. So we're quite conscious about, what trends we even go after for our customer. They obviously have to make sense to her. And, it's important that they see long-term value in their investment with us as well.
Mm.
I personally always regret buying anything that's super, super on trend. Like, 1 minute you're looking like you're super fashion forward. And then the next minute, 2 years later, you can actually look the opposite. And what happens? Inevitably, you just stop wearing that item and off it goes. So yeah, I guess, the brand is really about supporting that woman who's living that multifaceted life, who wants to simultaneously look and feel great, but without compromising. And also, we don't want to add to that mental load. We want to take it off her and just
Mm.
give her a solution. Yeah.
I love it. I love everything you've shared there. I love that you've combined, fashion with function. You
Yeah.
are all about your laser focused on your customers' needs and wants. I love the move wear ethos. And I guess what you're creating really supports your customer throughout their day, throughout their night, transitions across, their busy lifestyle. And I love that you've mentioned the investment kind of buying so that your pieces have longevity because we are in, that phase of sustainability and we want our wardrobe to take us, way into the future. As you said, not buying into trends that are going to be here today, gone tomorrow. So I love the ethos that you've created. Now, I know that recently you've gone through a brand elevation, but before we dive into that, I just want to wind the clock back a little bit because you mentioned earlier you started your brand at the age of 32. You've come into this without fashion industry specific skills and training, and you've learnt a lot, being on the front line, school of hard knocks. You've worked your way through it.
Mm.
So you've spoken just then with a lot of clarity about your customer, your brand, your vision, and what's going to be next. Has it always been like that? I know the answer to this, but has it always been like that? Just for those
No.
tuning in again that are in the early years, they might be, in the discovery phase or in year 1 or 2 of their business, and they're thinking, wow, we're not quite there yet. What has it been like kind of leading up to today? Like, what are some of the key experiences or learnings that you could
Mm.
share with our audience that come to mind?
Yeah, look, it's kind of embarrassing actually. I thought I knew who our customer was, and it wasn't until we did a customer survey that I realized I was completely forgetting about it in like a whole age group. I originally thought we had just a lot of mums, a lot of young mums that were buying the brand, and that was probably because a lot of my friends were young mums. So I just wasn't seeing beyond that. It wasn't until we, did some deep analysis that we realized is, our customers are going up to the age of 70. In
Mm.
fact, a lot of them are, mostly are over 45. That was really eye-opening to me. Yeah, it was actually it was empowering too, because, once we did that analysis on our customer, designing just became so much easier. Communicating became easier. Writing copy and descriptions became easier because we now know exactly who we are speaking to.
Mm. I love that you said it's empowering, because I think it is empowering on all levels. And this is not unique to your brand. So many new and growing brands, you're figuring it out as you go along. And as you rightly said, you think you've got a particular audience and, a customer base. And it's not until you start speaking to them, do that due diligence around surveys, and it could be focus groups and even just connecting on social media, that you
Mm,
can really hone in, you can lean into exactly who they are. Doesn't mean you're not going to serve, a secondary audience, but you can become more laser focused
yeah,
on your communication strategy so that it is totally in sync with who you're serving. So I love
yeah,
that. So maybe let's share a bit more around the brand elevation experience. So you
yeah.
went a little bit more into the research phase. That was the foundation of everything you did, making sure that you knew exactly who your customer is and who you wanted to attract to the business
Mm.
in the future. What else did that entail, and what else has been empowering for you throughout that experience?
Yeah, we really needed the elevation. So we'd always had great quality products, and we also had returning and very happy customers. But aesthetically, there was a disconnect, with the quality of what we were actually offering. So when a customer says things like, "Oh, gee, I was so surprised at the quality," and you're thinking, "Oh, well, why?" And then you go, "Oh, okay." So they clearly had lower expectations. Like, this is really telling us something here. We embarked on a elevation, which consisted of a brand refresh. So, logos, fonts, colors, nothing crazy. Just, it was just getting a little bit tired and needed to pop a bit more. We had a website update. So, new themes, new looks, new and better apps, more pages that were actually dedicated to the brand and not just selling product. We worked on copy, tone of voice, just, how we were communicating the brand. Like, but previously, we really weren't doing a very good job of explaining what we were all about. So there was that, and then also just an elevation in our photography. And yeah, the elevation has been amazing. It's really set us up for more effective brand marketing as well. I feel like we're showing up now in a way that's helping us attract the right customer, but the right stockists, the right content creators. So yeah, it's been a really worthwhile exercise, and we're getting great feedback in all directions. And even our wholesale fashion agents are thanking us for making their job easier, because now it's, they don't have to try so hard to be selling the product, because
No,
they
I
just got
think I think what you've mentioned is really powerful, because it's not just one dimensional. And I think, look, anyone going into a brand elevation, it is a leap of faith, because it doesn't always, initially translate to sales, right? It's not
no.
like put money into performance marketing and you're guaranteed a certain return. With brand elevation, and we're not even talking about the brand marketing side just yet, but we're talking in an investment. So this is,
Mm,
stepping into being brave, investing in your brand, as you said, website update, you've got photography, you've got copywriters involved, you've got strategists involved. It's a big investment and it can be a leap of faith. But I think what's powerful about what you just shared is that you're seeing results across several pillars of your business. So you've mentioned obviously the customer, resonating with your customer, having an aesthetic, that's really exciting for them to get involved in and be part of, like that brand journey. So they've been there from the start and they're watching the evolution of you mature as a brand. So there's
mm,
that big tick, pretty exciting. Then you've mentioned the stockers. So just for our audience, so you're a predominantly online business, but you also have wholesale. And we're going to talk about the exciting store that you have at Robina, which you opened this year in Queensland. But you're a multi-channel business. So as you rightly said, your agents are sitting up and taking notice. Your
Yeah,
stockers are sitting up and taking notice, and you're attracting a new caliber of stockists as well. And then the content creators, and we're going to talk about the amazing, brand advocates and influencers that you're working with. But I
mm,
think one thing that comes to mind that you did mention, like throughout the brand elevation journey to me, was that you felt that shift in dynamic. So when you're approaching people now to collaborate with your business, it's kind of in flow. You're becoming the super attractor to those collaborators
definitely.
rather than having to pitch hard and explain the reasons why. It's like they're looking at your business, they're seeing that it's elevated and sitting at a certain level. I think it's very clear market positioning now. And that just changes the dynamic. You don't have to push to attract people to work with you in your business. And I think that in itself is pretty powerful. And then, of course, on the flip side, you start to see that work in synergy with your performance marketing. And of course, the sales start
Yeah,
to go to the next
absolutely.
level as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole process was, oh gosh, I mean, it could have been a year in the making. It certainly doesn't happen overnight. And, I think we really launched the elevation was probably about 3 or 4 months ago now.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we've been seeing the results for sure. We've our sales are increasing. We're having an amazing spring at the moment. Stockists are happy.
Yeah.
It's definitely been amazing.
It's good, and it's a good place to be, in during a time where it's a tough market as well.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here in November 2024, where if you look across the marketplace at the moment, a lot of brands are really doing it tough at the moment, and you've been able to rise above that. And again, I think that's you've done an amazing job across all of the elements of your business, but I think you are speaking directly to your customer, and you're right on point. And I think that is very meaningful. Understanding your customer, their wants and their needs is at the core of everything we do in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
So of course is the product, the heartbeat of your business. So let's dive behind the scenes and share with our audience the creative development behind Alexandra, and how do your beautiful collections come to life, Lexi?
We run a fairly lean team, but specifically on the design side, there's Lindsay and I. So Lindsay's our wonderfully talented fashion designer, and we're a great team because we have completely different, well, yeah, we have different strengths. She's much better with the Alexandra, that's more her style. And while I do love as well designing for Alexandra, I gravitate naturally to ALX. So yeah, it's complementary for sure. But basically, yeah, we drop styles every month, anywhere between 10 to 30 lines. So there isn't a lot of downtime in design. In terms of the process, we start by looking back at our previous years and try and understand, what made our bestsellers so good. So we sort of work on reinventing those bestsellers, but maintaining those winning elements. We do a little bit of the trend research, of course, but we're really cautious with what trends we are going after, like I said earlier, because they really have to align with our customer, knowing our customers' average age, size, and daily routine. Now,
Yeah.
we go through a process of elimination and doctoring trends to make them more wearable for our customer. And yeah, of course, once we're happy with the initial designs, we obviously get onto the sketching, choosing fabrics, colors, and preparing all the tech packs. But I will say that this is the structured way of the design and creative process. Working with Lindsay has been amazing for the structure. She obviously comes with a lot of experience where I have always done things on the fly. So I am learning a lot more now about, the best way to approach, design and range planning, etc. So for my unstructured way of doing things, I pretty much just design on the daily. I'm walking down the street, I'm getting a coffee, I'll look at something, I'll quickly, draw something or write some notes in my notepad. And it doesn't really matter what season that would be for. It doesn't matter what Lindsay and I are currently working on that month or that day. It just goes into my bank, and I pull it out when Lizzie and I have structured meetings. And yeah, so that's always been my way of working.
I love that. That's a powerful combination. And I love that you've got those complementary skills. I also love when you were talking about, the product development process, that you said that you've got your customers' age, their size, and their daily routines top of mind. And
Mm,
I think that's the secret sauce, because if you're not doing that, it's like, who are you designing for?
exactly.
So I think that's really powerful. Now, just kind of, the natural extension on from product is certainly what's happening in the conscious fashion space. The fashion industry is certainly increasingly moving forward and
Mm.
elevating across sustainability, circularity, and transparency. So I'd love for you to share, Lexi, how has Alexandra evolved on its journey in this space, and what's on your radar? What's your vision for the
Mm.
brand when it comes to conscious fashion in the future?
Well, obviously, it's so important. It's a very important part of a fashion business these days. We spent quite a bit of time going through all the possible ways that we could improve as a business in this space, from the big ticket items to the smallest things possible. So currently, we have about 70% of our range, which is made from natural fabrics. We plan to increase that to 80% next year. We're also looking at incorporating recycled materials, organic cotton, phasing out poly blends wherever possible.
Mm.
And we're also scoping new supply chain partners who can help us move forward in this space, because there are some really, really impressive suppliers out there. And we want to make sure that we're aligning ourselves to them. So, we're across the latest in sustainable fabrics and technology. We are not experts in this area, but we want to learn and we want to be doing the right thing. So by working with the right suppliers, then we can tap into their knowledge base and just make sure the brand is prepared for the future. And, this is the way that the fashion industry is headed. So, we don't want to be left behind. They're our big ticket items. And then obviously there's all the small stuff as well, we make donations to Thread Together. We refine our tech packs, so there's just less misinterpretation. So we're not going back and forth on samples. We request our suppliers do not send us samples individually wrapped in plastic, with like we know they do with so many of their clients. And, we're constantly ticking them off if we there's 1 ounce of plastic too much. So
Mm.
uh, there's just a whole raft of things you can be doing. Doesn't matter what size business you are, you can. There's just so many things. Once you really think about it, once you really get that, that pen to paper and you sit down as a team and you talk about it, you'd be quite surprised at how many items you can rack up on that list to make a difference.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that you've got, your plan in place for the future, and that you're consciously addressing, where you are. So you're very real about where the brand is right now, but you know that there's an immediate opportunity to improve in several areas. So, you've mentioned the product and raw materials is a huge part of
Yeah,
what we do. So you can minimize impact there. Certainly in the production processing around dyes and efficiencies. And you've mentioned,
yeah,
reducing sampling and waste across all of those areas. Of course, the reduction in plastics, and then also packaging. I know that you've been really looking at your packaging and your
yeah,
labels, and as you said, partnering with, supply chain partners who can start to educate you and bring ideas into your business and better efficiencies into your business. And I know
mm,
that you're going to be embarking on supplier mapping and all of the things. So it's going to be a big year for you next year, activating a
yeah,
lot of these, really exciting initiatives. But I think it's just great to hear that, you are committed to, really taking your impact strategy to the next level. So well
yeah.
done to you and the team on that.
Thank you.
Let's talk about sales and marketing now. Heartbeat of the business. Again, you got to have the right product, but you got to have the right sales and marketing strategy. And as I mentioned earlier, you are across multi channels in your business. So I'd love for you to share with us what your most significant sales channels are, and how you've approached your sales and marketing strategies
Yeah,
across the performance marketing, and, of course, most recently, a bigger
yeah.
investment into brand marketing as well.
Yeah, so our online sales make up about 85% of our total revenue. And honestly, we have relied heavily on performance marketing for years. I engaged my digital marketing agency about 4 years ago, and they have helped me grow the business. They get the customers in, and our job is to keep them. We have a really strong returning customer order rate. So, that it's definitely been a worthwhile investment because of that. But now that almost 50% of our orders every day are from returning customers, we're in a really great place now to be going much harder on channeling that money into brand marketing. So really the performance marketing has helped us be able to afford that. so now we're able to dedicate a decent amount of our monthly marketing budget to like influencer marketing, which is now what we've been doing quite a lot of. We're going a lot harder in that area now. So, we're now budgeting about 12% of our marketing spend on influencers, and working on, creating meaningful partnerships with them. So the content creators that we've been working with now have really become like brand ambassadors, and it's like they genuinely love the brand and our quality. So, it's so important for authenticity for their followers to see them in a brand more than once. So that's why we're often entering into 3 to 6 month partnerships. And, we're not interested in that transactional relationship. We want that advocacy and that buy-in. So yeah, so far that's been really effective, and we're hoping next year that we'll be allocating more money to brand marketing and specifically influencer marketing next year.
I love that. I love a couple of things that you've said. There's so much more to say here. I know that, but just a couple of things I wanted to recap. It was like, okay, your digital marketing agency, it brings the customers in, but it's your job to keep them.
That's
I love
right.
that. Like that's pretty powerful. So I think we should, because I'm sure our listeners are going, yes, that makes complete sense. How do I keep them? Like, how do I keep my customers? So I'd love to touch on what you do to keep them, because, obviously you've got a very robust email marketing plan in place. So you're constantly communicating with your customers through
Yeah.
email marketing and telling them what's new and fresh. And you also are very active on social media, of course. You've got all your paid advertising. So you're present right across, the industry. But then, as you rightly said, you've brought in the influencer marketing element, which gives you an opportunity to tap into a new audience,
That's
but
right.
also show your existing customers how to style your products differently and give them a fresh new kind of perspective on everything Alexandra has to offer. So
That's
let's
right.
talk about the keeping of the customer. Is there anything you want to elaborate on in terms of, how you keep your customers engaged?
Part of it is keeping them engaged. We drop, as I've said before, 10 to 30 lines monthly. So there's constantly a reason for them to be coming back to us to see what's fresh and see what's new. I guess, we know our customers so well now as well that I feel like we are speaking their language. So, they are engaged with us. They want to see what's coming next because they know that we know them. And yeah, and we do customer surveys. So, and we don't just look at the stats and discuss them and then on to the next project. We really try to make sure that we actually act on what our customers want from us. Like, for example, in our latest survey, our customers wanted to see denim. Well, what happened? We launched denim this year and it is going off. So,
Amazing.
I feel like we're focused on giving the customers what they want and what they ask for. We're always reading our customer reviews that we're getting from on all of our products. We make sure if there's, if they're complaining about all the same thing, we'll go change that. Like we actually did that last week there was a comment, was multiple comments about just one of the shirts being a bit stiff in the placket. Well, what happened? Next day, less fusing on those plackets. So yeah, I think that we just value and respect our customer, and I think they sense that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're responding, because a lot of brands don't respond. They might see the review and they might get the survey, and unfortunately not everyone is as, reactive and proactive as you are. So I love that. And no doubt, the customers are seeing that. So that gives them a whole other level of trust and respect for your brand. So I think that's just a huge congratulations again to you and the team for responding and listening to your customers. And as you said, that's keeping them engaged and keeping them invested in the brand. There is another element of marketing that you've been embarking on that I did just want to touch on, which is founder content.
Oh,
So let's just think about everyone tuning in right now. And
okay.
there are a lot of founders out there that perhaps have not delved into, the area of, being front and center, face to camera, creating content, and they might be thinking about it. So you're kind of at the beginning of the journey here. So I'd love for you to share with our audience how you feel about embarking on founder content, and what is your vision for that showing up in your brand maybe over the next 6 months or so?
Okay, yeah. Look, I've always wanted to be doing founder content, but of course, with anybody running a business, it's just when am I going to do it?
Yep.
It has become a bit of more of a priority lately because, I think so many people do want to know what's going on behind the brand, and they want a connection. They want to feel like an insider as well. So I think with my founder content, I'm hoping to be showing a lot more of, behind the scenes content at Alexandra, also sharing a bit more about me and who I am and what's my story. And, while I don't think, I know everything, I have had a lot of experiences and I have had a lot of good and a lot of bad things happen over the last 7 years of my business that I know are going to be helpful to anyone else running a fashion label. So I want to share them, and just collaborating with other people in the fashion industry, some of our influencers, for instance. One of our content creators is coming to the office on Monday and she's doing half a day with us at the office. So a bit of behind the scenes content there, but also in our photography studio, which we might get to later,
Yes.
and our store as well. So, just trying
Yeah.
to do a few more collaborations like that, just creating more content that's going to engage and excite our audience and, let them feel, and hopefully they will feel like they're, on the inside a little bit more.
Yeah, part of the journey. I think that, they want to be your customers are so loyal and invested. I think they're going to be excited to be, as you said, an insider, but part of the journey as well, and see some of the raw and real from behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And I know for you, what I've seen kind of play out over time is that for you, your founder content has to be authentic. I know that you don't want anything to be forced or
That's
kind of,
right.
scripted. It's got to be a natural extension of who you are, who your brand is, and really authentic and organic. And I really respect that. I think about your approach to founder content. And as much as, it's been a bit of a process to get to where you are now, it's all kind of falling into place. So I love that you're going to be doing, a bit of collaboration with the influencers. And let's go into your own studio, because I think you've come into your own now because you have your own creative space to not only create your amazing photography for the brand and, some influencer content, but now for you to create some founder content. So you actually launched a photography and creative studio this year called Beau Bell Studio. It's on
Yeah.
the beautiful Gold Coast where you are and your brand is operating. So let's talk about that, Lexi. What was the motivation behind launching this studio, in addition to, of course, just running your brand and and we're going to talk about your store that you opened
Oh,
this year.
yeah.
So, but let's dive into Beau Bell. What's it all about?
Yeah. Beau Bell. Well, it's like our team baby.
Mhm.
It's been such a fun project. So I guess, the inspiration came from, well, we shoot all the time. So, as I've said, we're dropping many lines monthly. So we're pretty much shooting monthly as well. And for years, I've been paying to hire these beautiful homes that were all around Queensland, and they're not cheap. They're all north of like $3,000 just for the day.
Yeah.
And, we're also booking studios as well. So it's just a lot of traveling about as well. So Queensland's pretty big. So imagine, we're all packing our cars up. We're on the road. We're heading over there. We've forgotten one thing in the office. We can't go back. So, and then, so there was that experience. And then I also just realized that I much preferred studio photography. So
Mm.
we were focusing a lot more on the product when we were in a studio, and when we were in a beautiful home, we're focusing on, oh, isn't that a beautiful staircase? Let's get that behind the model. And I was just noticing quite a difference in the outcome. The studio photography was just looking a bit more polished and professional. So yeah, and I just thought, well, why don't we have our own studio? This is nuts. Like, why are we
Mm.
schlepping about Queensland when we could just have a solid base to do all this ourselves? So we also had a ecom photography set up in our office not long ago. So as
Yeah.
you can imagine, we're doing an e-commerce shoot one day in the office, and then 2 days later we've got to go off to do a campaign shoot. So it was double of everything. So now, now that we've got our photography studio, we wrap up ecom and campaign shoots all in the one day. So, we've got the ecom shoot on the mobile psych wall, and then the model just moves off to the mock living room or one of the walls on wheels and gets the campaign shot done. And so overall, it's just way more efficient use of time. It's been cost effective. And yeah, like I said, the end product, I feel like it's polished and professional. It's elevated.
Yeah, amazing. I love it. And I've got to say, way back when you said to me, "Oh, I think I'm going to open up a studio," I was just like, "Okay, How are you going to do that on top of
Yeah.
everything else that you're doing on the daily? But here we are, and look at what you've done. It's been a game changer when it comes to the content in your business.
Yes.
As you've said, the efficiencies, it's just so much more, streamlined in terms of efficiencies and the logistics. And it's yours. And not only is it yours, you're hiring it out to others. So let's
That's
tell
right.
our audience about that.
Yeah, so we hire out to other brands or content creators on the Gold Coast. We have, it can be a 3-hour booking, half day, full day, but particularly for startups, we do 50% off because I know what it's like. I remember my very first photo shoot, and I remember thinking, this is just so expensive. So it's like, how am I going to afford to do these? I'm never going to be professional. So it was really important to me to be able to give back in that way. So, any brand that's been trading for under 2 years, we want to support them. And it's because we've done so many shoots. We were able to draw on all of our experience of all the things that we needed or wanted at a shoot location, but we didn't have. So, um, what's also great about Beau Bell is we've actually thought of everything for you. So if you're a brand or if you're a brand coming to hire the studio, we've got a sandwich toaster, we've got nipple covers, we've got lint rollers. You don't have to think of anything. Yeah, so it's just the maximum convenience that we're providing for everybody, and also, yeah, that's why we love shooting there now ourselves so much.
I love it. And I can confirm there is not one thing you haven't thought of, because I visited the beautiful Beau Bell Studio and I was just blown away. It was like drawer after drawer. You're like, I've got this and I've got this and look at this.
I
And I'm just like, I
know,
could actually move in here and live here. It's amazing. Like
and
everything's here.
I know, and even when we do think of just that one thing that we've forgotten, we have it the next day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Love it. So brands, content creators, it's open to everyone in the creative space, right? Because you've pretty much thought of
that's right.
everything from the photography backdrops to the beautiful props, like the furniture is just next level. Everyone needs to go check out the website. And of course, we'll put the links to that in the show notes. But you mentioned the 50% off for startups.
Yeah,
That's pretty
that's right.
amazing. That's pretty amazing that you're supporting the startup community. So I know we have a lot of startups tuning in. So guys, definitely check that out. And yeah,
Yeah.
if you're on the Gold Coast, or you know what, it's even worth traveling. If you just have a look at the studio. So if you're anywhere in the Queensland area, definitely check out Beau Bell.
Yeah,
Now, Lexi, not only are you running your brand, you have opened up Beau Bell this year, but you also opened up a pop-up store at Robina in Queensland.
that's
Let's
right.
share with our audience, after all these years, what has it been like to see your brand manifest in a physical environment? And what's it like being the, owner and operator of a retail store?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I always wanted a store. I think from the moment I first met you, I told you I just wanted stores. So yeah, it's just so exciting. It gives me such a buzz. I I got to say, I do love seeing all that hard work laid out in front of me. You don't realize like how much you're actually creating and how much work you're doing until you literally see it on racks and racks right in front of you. And I also just love seeing our customer in the flesh. And what nothing excites me more is when a customer walks into our store and asks like for a specific style that they've seen on socials.
Yeah.
And I love it. Overall, it's definitely enhancing our credibility and our trust for customers. As I've mentioned, a portion of our customer is a bit older, and they just feel more comfortable buying from a brand that has a store.
Mm.
And there's also just so many customers who literally just want to come in, touch, feel, maybe try on one item. And once they get that confirmation on the quality, the size and fit, they're confident then to go make a larger purchase online. So, but moving forward, I would love to have more stores. It's definitely on the agenda. Like anything, it's just time and money.
Yeah.
But I also think that once you've done one store, so much of the hard work's already done. We like logically thinking it's got to be easier to open the second one, really, because we have already invested all of our time doing things like retail staff job descriptions and employment contracts and store service manuals, store policies and procedures, setting up a POS system. All of the hard work is done. So, again, it's just time and money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully there'll be more.
Yes, no doubt. No doubt there will be. As soon as you set your mind to something, I know that you're pretty swift to make it happen. I know that
Yeah.
about you. With your store, I remember you mentioned to me that you had customers traveling from interstate that had come into the store,
I
and many
know.
of them had said, "Is Lexi here? Like, we want to
I
meet the
know.
designer," which
Is
I
that the
thought was
nicest thing ever?
it's pretty
Yeah.
nice. Like that's
Yeah.
that's very cool. So I think you were saying in the future you might do some activations in store. Maybe there'll
Yeah.
be an opportunity for your amazing community to come and meet you in the
Yeah.
flesh.
Yeah. So I work occasionally in the store. Yeah. So I'm actually now going to give people a bit of an alert if I'm going to be
Yeah.
there, because yeah, my staff have fed back that I have been. Where's Lexi? Is she here today? And unfortunately, I'm not usually there, but yeah, I am going to try and especially over like the sale period where I will be there. My head office team will be there supporting the store, so I'll be there too. So I'm going to
Yeah.
try and yeah, give customers an opportunity to come and meet us and say hi.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Alexi alert. I'm in store. Come on in and say hi. Can we give our listeners a little bit of, you heard it here first. Where, like if you could wave your magic wand, where would your next store be? Whereabouts in Australia?
Oh, Mm, I'd have to say High Street Armadale. Look, the brand originated in Melbourne. I'm a
Yep.
Melbourne girl, so and we just get so many requests for a store in Melbourne. So it's definitely on the 5-year plan.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love that you put that out there to the universe. So
yes, I
anyone
have.
tuning in
Please,
that's got some insider scoops in terms of some retail spaces on High Street
yes,
Armadale,
please.
definitely
Hmm.
reach out.
Yeah.
Now, Lexi, I love that. Again, congratulations. The brand, the studio, the store. Let's talk about professional development. It's been quite
Yeah.
the journey. You've shared
Mm,
so much and there's so much more to come. Like you've got an exciting strategic plan in place for the brand over the next few years. But let's talk about professional development. How do you
mm.
feel about that? And do you feel that it's key to, growing both personally and professionally as a leader? And have there been mentors or specific people in your life that have helped you along the way? And what would you say to our listeners about, working with
Yeah.
mentors, consultants, agencies, the whole piece?
Absolutely, yes. Well, I've had the pleasure of working with you for the last, I think it's a year and a half now. Did you say?
I
Yeah, it
know.
went very quickly.
It has.
There was a baby in there as well. So
a whole a whole
I,
human, a
yeah, a
whole
whole
new
human
human.
was born. But yeah, I think having someone like you, so a business and strategy consultant, has been incredible for my professional development. I have learnt so much. As we know, I haven't had any formal experience in anything related to what I actually do day to day. So, my processes and systems, they were working, but there was endless room for improvement, and they were only ever going to get me so far. To have a professional come in and immerse themselves in your business and create a roadmap to reach your goals, it's incredibly exciting. I've never been under any illusion that I could do it all myself. So, I would highly recommend anybody who can afford to have a professional on board, just immediately invest. I've also had an excellent digital marketing agency called Right Hook, who I've been working with for 4 years now. So, they've been a wonderful asset. And, I've also learned so much working so closely with them. They work across so many other e-com businesses. So they've got their finger on the pulse, and they can advise in best practice for Meta, Google, Klaviyo, Shopify. And, they're just things that I'd have to sit and spend hours if I was going to get to that level of knowledge. And I just don't have that time. So from my experience, working with consultants and professionals has moved my business forward in a way that I could never have done myself.
Congratulations to you for investing because it's not for the faint-hearted. I think when you do kind of step into that space of working with whether it is a consultant or whether it is, working at a higher level with your agency, there is an element of the unknown. So you've got to trust that person that you're working with and kind of just lean into, yes, they are going to guide me down the right path.
Mm,
And even from my end as a consultant, sometimes I don't know where it's going to go with a client because you kind of, you're working it out as you go along. You might have a certain, thing on the radar that you're going to be focusing on, but all of a sudden you're needing to pivot. So I think for our listeners, definitely as Lexi said, it might not be a consultant right now, but it might be even someone within your network that's even in the industry or in marketing that you can sit down and have a coffee with and just kind of not be in your own head so much. I think being able to
Mm,
bounce off somebody else is really powerful. And even for myself, I have coaches and mentors that I work with at certain times when I'm in need of something. It might be a mindset coach, once or twice a year, and then it might be, all right, how am I going to work on the strategy to take it next level? So as much as I give it, I need it myself in business. And I think that anybody I've spoken to over the journey that's had a consultant or an executive coach, or as you rightly said, the work that you've done with Right Hook over time has really helped you to learn so much in the
mm,
performance marketing space, and that becomes empowering. So I think the more that we can all upskill, the better it's going to be for our businesses, our team. But I think it's very exciting on a professional level to be able to optimize and then go on to the next thing. It's like, right, what's the next thing I'm going to
right.
master? So I
Yeah.
might I might ask you that question. What's the next thing that you're going to master? What's on the radar for 2025 that you would like to dive into and take your skill set to the next level?
I guess now that the business is at a stage where the team is quite quickly expanding, I probably need to master my leadership skills. I haven't, obviously I've managed a team when I worked at Coles, but this is obviously quite a bit different. I am the owner. There's at least there's 8 in the team now. I'm hoping that's going to be 10 to 12 in another year. So it's definitely an area I would like to, yeah, hone my skills on for sure.
I love that. It's kind of a rite of passage, just stepping into a leadership role as a business owner. And it's not something that just comes naturally. We
Not at
really
all.
have to focus on those skills and work on them and fine tune them because, managing staff and team members is complex. So I love that. I love that you're going to be focusing on leadership in the coming
Yeah.
year. Now, Lexi, what is next for Alexandra? Can you share any upcoming projects or goals? What is it you're excited about?
Well, there's lots, but I will mention, yeah, I'm excited about onboarding with Style Arcade. So they're a sophisticated, inventory management system for anyone who doesn't know.
Yep.
So to really get on top of our merchandise planning. And I'd say the other exciting thing worth sharing is our loyalty program. So it's at the very beginning stages of development. So it's probably at least a year away, but yeah, we're very excited about it already.
I love that. I love that you're going to be investing in merchandise planning. I think, for anyone tuning in, you get to a certain stage of business where you've kind of done it, quite intuitively and manually, and you're, kind of ordering to minimum order quantities. And as the business grows and grows, it becomes a lot more complex. So I love there's a little sneak peek here. I'm actually going to have Michaela from Style Arcade on the podcast
Oh,
in the next
cool.
couple of weeks. So everyone will be able to tune in and to
Oh,
hear
great.
everything about Style Arcade before the end of the year, which is exciting. So I love that you're investing there. And of course,
Mm,
customer loyalty. I mean, you've got such a loyal customer base right
yeah.
now. So it's going to be exciting to bring them on that journey and reward them for, their investment in your brand. And of course, attract so many more amazing new
Mm,
customers to the brand.
yeah.
Now, Lexi, we're at the pointy end now. Finally, we'd love to know what excites you most about the future of the fashion industry.
I mean, I guess it would have to be AI, wouldn't it? It's so exciting to hear about progress in design and trend forecasting, visual fit technology, highly personalized shopping experiences. And I guess I'm just excited to be incorporating more of that into our business. So I can just try to stay ahead of the curve. And I do not want to be left behind. And I think, if you're not adopting in AI, you'll be gone in a minute.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's such an exciting space. I think, as brands, we want to balance up that human element and that AI element and have them work, in synergy to bring just a whole other dimension to our
Mm.
business. But I'm certainly as excited as you are about AI. Lexi, thank you so much for being so generous to kind of pull the veil back at Alexandra today and share that whole journey from inception to where you are now. There are so many exciting things going on in your business. So, again, congratulations to you and everyone who's been on board the Alexandra journey. I've absolutely loved working with you over the last
Thank
year
you.
and a half, as you said. We've
Me
dived
too.
into so many little rabbit holes right across business strategy. And as I said, it's just great to see that the opportunities are certainly, they're everywhere you look in the future of your business. So congratulations. So Lexi, where is the best place for our audience to connect with you?
I'd say Instagram. Yeah, so I've got an account for Alexandra Bell _ALX. And yeah, that's sort of my new founder account where I'm just starting to share a lot more about me and the brand. So hope to see you
Amazing.
there.
So follow on the journey, everyone. See the beautiful founder content start to evolve over time. Thank you again, Lexi. I've loved every minute of our chat today. And thanks for joining me on the pod.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the Fashion Business Mindset podcast. We'd love to keep connected. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Fashion Equipped. And if you'd like to find out more about our Start Your Fashion Business program and your mentor collective, head to our website fashionequipped.com.au. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share this podcast with others, hit subscribe, leave us a rating and review. Let's do this together. Let's make the fashion business your business.
This is a Guide Your Light network production, creating podcasts with purpose.